today we are talking about a really important topic: how to nail an English interview, especially if you are a non-native speaker. Before we move on, let me quickly explain what the phrase nailing it means, especially for those who might not be familiar with it. When someone says you nailed it or I nailed it, it means you did something really well or successfully. For example, if you prepare for an English interview, practice your answers, and then perform really well during the interview, you can say, I nailed that interview. It's an informal way to say you succeeded or you did a great job at something. So when we talk about nailing a business English interview, we mean doing really well in the interview and impressing the interviewer. Moving right along. In this video, I'm going to share some practical tips to help you feel confident and prepared so you can succeed in your next business English interview. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more English tips and lessons. The first tip is to understand the interview format. Many interviews follow a structured format, and it's important to know what to expect. In a typical interview, you'll be asked, tell me about yourself, to introduce yourself professionally. Why do you want this job? You'll have to show your motivation, give your motivation as to why you would like to be employed by this company or why you're the best fit for this role. You may be asked about your strengths and weaknesses. This question is asked to evaluate your self-awareness. You may also be asked about situational or behavioral questions like, tell me about a time when blah blah blah. So this would require you to reflect back and think of a time or about a time when you were in a specific situation and how you handled that situation, or perhaps how you would handle a situation similar to the one that you are being presented with. Once you understand these common questions, you can start preparing your answers. Tip number 2 is to prepare strong answers to the most common interview questions. Let's look at a few examples. When they ask you, tell me about yourself, they don't want to know about your life story. Instead, give a brief summary of your professional background. I've created a separate video that breaks down a step-by-step formula you can use to craft the perfect answer, no matter what industry you are in. So make sure to check it out. The link is in the description below. Tip number 3. As a non-native speaker, you have unique strengths that can set you apart. Don't be afraid to highlight these strengths in the interview. For example, mention your ability to speak multiple languages, your experience working with international teams, or knowledge in different cultures. You could say something like, as a non-native speaker, I developed strong communication skills in both English and your native language, whether it's Hindi, Italian, French, Bengali. Over here you would insert your native language or the languages in which you are proficient at. Let's carry on. This has helped me work with clients and teams from different countries, which I believe is a valuable asset in today's global business environment. Tip number 4. Tip number 4 is crucial. Practice speaking English out loud. It is one thing to know the language in your head, but it is another to speak it confidently under pressure. Here's how you can practice. Number 1 is to record yourself answering common interview questions. This will help you improve your pronunciation and fluency. Number 2, practice with a friend or colleague who can give you feedback on your answers. And number 3, use mock interview tools or websites to simulate the interview experience. The more you practice speaking out loud, the more comfortable you'll feel during the actual interview. And if you'd like to book a consultation with myself to see if we could work together to achieve your goals, feel free to use the link down below to get in touch. Tip number 5. Tip number 5 is to master professional English vocabulary and phrases. Business English has specific terms that you need to be familiar with. For example, instead of saying, "I'm good at working in teams," you could say, "I excel at collaborating with cross-functional teams to achieve common goals." Here are a few more examples of business English phrases. Instead of saying, "I'm good at solving problems," say, "I'm skilled at finding solutions to complex challenges." Instead of "I help with projects," say, "I manage and coordinate projects." These phrases sound more professional and will help you stand out in a work context, in a work setting. Tip number 6. Tip number 6 is to prepare questions for the interviewer. At the end of the interview, you'll likely be asked, "Do you have any questions for us?" Always be prepared with a few thoughtful questions. Here are some examples. You could ask, "Can you tell me more about the team I'll be working with?" Another question you could ask is, "What are the biggest challenges the company is facing right now?" Or, "How does the company support employee development and growth?" So these are some questions that you could ask if the interviewer hasn't yet covered this information during the course of the interview, because you may find that through discussion some of these questions may have already been answered. Asking questions is always a great touch because it shows that you are interested in the role and the organization, the company. Tip number 7. This one is my favorite tip. My final tip is to stay calm and confident. Interviews can be nerve-wracking, but remember, the interviewer is not trying to test you. They want to see if you're the right fit for the job. So take a deep breath before answering questions, and don't be afraid to ask for clarification if you don't understand something. You can say, "Could you please repeat the question?" Or, "Could you clarify what you mean by that?" It's better to ask than to guess. There you have it. Those are my top tips for nailing an English interview as a non-native speaker. Remember, preparation is key. Good luck with your interview, and I'm sure you'll do great. Thank you for watching. Keep learning, keep growing, and I'll see you in the next upload. Goodbye for now.